Z,
What's up, Jack?
you enjoyed the food last night?
Dude, I ate that food again today, and I was like, damn, I'm out. Like, is that it?
We were driving home today, and my lady was like, we really don't have any leftovers. That blows. And I was like, well, we got some remnants of sweet potato. We got some mashed potatoes. That's it, though. A couple deviled eggs.
You could probably, like, clean the ham off and pick at the chicken or turkey, but not much
no,
of either.
After y'all left, some people took some Chico blades as well. So the turkey and the ham picked clean.
Oh, heard.
For those of you with the context, me and my lady hosted a Friendsgiving because we both have to work on Thanksgiving. And Z came down with Lucas. It was in, what did we title it?
The
civics trivia
the civics
night.
trivia, yeah. Who absolutely blew everybody away. Yeah.
Smoked everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, had a bit of a good time, bit of a vibe.
Yeah.
It started with a bad omen, by the way.
Really?
So this room, I had the table set up and we had the dogs' kennels moved to our room. And the thing with the dogs is they shed a whole lot, especially when they need a bath, right?
Yeah.
So when we moved their kennels, there was just an outline of fur,
Oh, I know.
So my lady, coated the carpet in some Arm & Hammer stuff.
I was going to guess borax, but...
Well, tomato.
Yeah.
But she was like, we need to vacuum it. I said, I know we need to vacuum it. And I was going to vacuum it, but I worked Saturday night. So I got home Sunday, and I was like, don't worry, I'll vacuum it. And I sat down in this chair.
Started out.
And she was like, all right, just go to bed. And I was like, okay. I wake up, she threw her back out. While trying to vacuum this room, she threw her back out.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, she was stiff as a board. Now, like an hour before everybody started showing up, I took that massage gun I have now, just worked her back for a little bit, and that helped out a lot, but so did drugs. She was on medication and some of that the entire night.
So I think I could tell for the most part. She was a lot more hyper than she usually is.
Yeah. Also, that chick
cool.
she was sitting with nicknamed her Minnie Mouse because of how small she is, which is crazy. A mouse is already small. You can just say mouse. Yeah, and she got mad at me today because we were talking about everything. I was like, yeah, so what was Mouse talking about? And she was like, it's Minnie Mouse. I said, I can shorten it to, I'm not saying Minnie Mouse. And she's like, no, it's Minnie Mouse, so you will say Minnie Mouse. And that's when I was like, it's disrespectful because Mouse is already small. You don't need to add the Minnie. And she was like, no, she's a mouse and she's small. So it's Minnie Mouse and you will say Minnie Mouse. I said, all right. Damn.
The argument could have been ended if he had just brought up like Minnie Mouse, Mickey, Minnie Mouse.
Yeah. That's that hindsight. That's that in the shower start punching the wall. Like,
damn, I could have won this argument.
That's a good comeback right there.
I mean, yeah, it would have made sense.
Which, by the way, I got that table and those chairs from my grandparents, and I brought them back. And my grandma was like, was it a good turnout? I said, yeah. We had a good time. Everybody came out. She was like, well, y'all should host the family one. And in my head, I was like, I asked a couple years ago to host it. And not only did I get shot down, I didn't even get shot down from the person who was hosting it. They told another family member that they had a problem that me and her offered to host the Thanksgiving. So they had that person come tell me that they had a problem with it. So I'm like, all right, I'm not dealing with that. So I brought this up, and she was like, "Well, things are different now." And I'm like, "I don't want that energy. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm not gonna deal with it.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that energy in my house. After what I told you got dropped on me last night."
Dude, I needed to take a break. I needed a second for that. Like,
yeah, bro.
Just whoa.
Yeah, literally, while I was being told this while me and my other brother were playing college football, and I legit paused the game, and I turned and I was like, "Yo, time out."
Jesus Christ! I don't even know how much you want to say.
I was getting lore bombed, heavy lore bomb, and let's be honest. And maybe this can go into a bigger discussion on family. I talk with my family, but I don't talk enough with that side of the family because somebody is fighting with somebody all the time. And my mom, I love my mom. I think it was last episode I was talking about some shit that you referenced, by the way. Just out of the blue for no reason.
It wasn't out of the blue. It was literally, I think somebody literally said something about fighting, and I was just and fighting me. That was so, and I think it was between you and me. So I had to, and it was funny. You didn't catch it until after I started laughing.
I was focused on getting the goddamn pie out of the oven.
The fucking tiny ass.
And Lucas is smart ass, bro. Bro, how am I gonna do this? I don't know with the tiny claws you got on your hands. Awesome,
Thanks,
dude.
Bro. Thanks.
Really? I didn't think of that one.
Oh man, that was hilarious. But continue with the story.
But no, I love my mom, but every time I text my mom, she will text me in paragraphs that include little strands of family drama that she's she's wanting me to pull on, and I just completely ignore them. But then I had my brothers sitting here, and I was like, well, might as well pry right now. And Jesus Christ. Jeez. Long story short, I have 2 stepbrothers. Let's make that clear. Stepbrothers.
Sure.
That are doing some wild shit right now. I don't feel like...
So that's their business, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, I can't fully confirm what I heard because it's third hand,
I mean, the only issue that comes in with me, it's just these developments take a long time to happen. So where was anything leading up to that? Where was that information at? Because it seems like you skipped over a lot of things to get to the point where you're at now. And it's just hold on. I need a second to catch up on this. What?
Yeah. It's the last time my mom tried to do that, by the way. And you can tell me if you agree with this. I posted this long-ass Facebook post. I'll screenshot it and send it to you so you can put it up on the screen. But, of course, black out my name. Too famous to be like that. But the summarization of it is, I don't think you should feel this eternal link to somebody just because you either A, grew up around them, or B, or I guess B, you get what I'm saying, grew up around them, or you have a link of blood. I don't think that requires or necessitates any kind of loyalty. If you don't feel close to someone, you shouldn't feel guilty because they're family. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And
I guess for me, it kind of depends on the type of relationship you have, or that you would have if you talked to them more, I guess. I have family that even now my mom would be like, hey, it's your aunt so-and-so's birthday. And I'm just like, who is that?
Who?
Because I just don't talk to these people. I mean, I get their family and everything, but I don't necessarily feel any guilt for not communicating with them when I haven't in the last 25 years of my life.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. There is a point in which not necessarily loyalty, but I do feel there is a bond, not necessarily like I have to do anything about it in case something goes wrong for them. Like, say they go to jail or something, I'm not going to bail them out because they did that on their own. And even if I did talk to them, I mean, my family has or at least part of my family has like you get one chance. And then after that, if you fuck up, you fuck up. So like, I would probably stick to something like that. And for the family I'm actually close with.
Like Spider-Man and Family Guy? Everybody gets one.
I guess, yeah.
Do you not know that joke?
No.
It's a running joke in Family Guy where like one of the characters will be in a deadly situation and Spider-Man will save him. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Spider-Man. And he just looks at the camera and goes, everybody gets one.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that. I've never watched enough of Family Guy to know that.
Anyways, this story came up because I was at a Waffle House with my lady and saw this dude wearing a hood up, real scrawny, but he was an old man. And I was like, oh, it's my grandfather. My grandfather on my mom's side. But I didn't say anything because I just don't talk to him, you know? There's nothing that happened that caused us to have bad blood, but there's nothing that happened that caused us to have good blood either. It's just like a neutral thing.
It's just kind of, hey, I'm related to you in some shape or fashion, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't until he looked over and looked at me and he was like, Jack? I said, oh, hey, what's going on? You know? He was with some random chick that he's dating, I guess. But I walked out of that and I was thinking to myself, I was like, why do I feel nothing for this person? You know? And it's not like he was completely absent from my life. I mean, there were a couple situations, but like, why do I feel no sort of connection to this person in the slightest? Why do I feel like the little conversation we had is like strangers in an elevator, you know?
It's like that sometimes. I mean, my family, most of the time, whenever I see somebody after a really long time that I, don't know, they saw me when I was a kid or something, you're going to get awkward stranger conversation out of me. I can't treat you like I know you. I can't treat you like I've talked to you for years. I just don't know you. So even like something in your situation, if it's just kind of there as a relationship wise, I mean, I probably wouldn't have even said anything for a minute unless they said something first.
But that happened and I referenced him. I didn't say his name, but I referenced him in the post and my mom was like, so who's the family member? And I said it and she was like, oh yeah, he's back on this and he's doing this and he pisses me. And I sat back, I was like, I didn't ask.
You didn't? No.
I didn't ask. And it truly, like, people love living in the gossip and the dirtiness of the messiness of family drama. I really don't have time for it. I got enough worries and stresses in my life, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of the same. I've know of family drama in the past, and it was kind of like I didn't ask about it. I didn't even want to know any details. And then the only reason I really knew is because they happened to tell me when I was in the area like that day. Yeah. It's like, well, I guess.
Yeah. You hit them with that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, crazy. It's almost like this part of the family we haven't talked to in years just because they were crazy, and purposely distanced ourselves from it. So are we back into it?
What is your opinion on the whole nature versus nurture, if you have one?
I don't really have one because there's good arguments for both sides, but even more so specifically nurture, I feel like there are people I know that grew up in certain environments that should be a lot worse if it was a nurture thing rather than nature.
Yeah.
So it could go either way.
Yeah, you always think about it when it comes to conversations of, this is the first example I think of. You can make a joke out of it if you want to make a joke out of it.
Okay.
But like, if you got a guy that is, joined a gang and he's stuck in the hood and he's doing what everybody else is doing to keep themselves there, and then you compare that to the guy who maybe lived down the street but he joined the military and he got out and he got a nice place and he's out of there now and yada, yada, yada. Like, what is the difference? Why did one person decide to, you know, devolve into this self-destructive behavior while the other person was able to, you know, take advantage of some opportunities that they had that maybe that person didn't get, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a whole conversation of like you're from the same place, seemingly, you know, the same kind of situation, yet you went this way and he went this way. I think the conversation, it's not so black and white of like more nature than more nurture. Just like everything else in this world, I feel like it's situational, but you know,
I feel like it comes rather than nature versus nurture. It really comes from like a matter of choice and time of when it happened, or the time it is really. Like you could, like that one person that maybe had those opportunities that went the other way. Maybe they were actually weighed the pros and cons of like, okay, what if I went this way? You know, what could be out for me, or what's waiting for me if I go the other way here? And they made the decision to better themselves or whatnot. And then the other person who did end up joining the gangs, they probably may have done the same thing. It was like, well, if I go this way, it's going to be such and such. Or if I hang around these dudes, I at least got this group of people around me that I can trust or whatnot. And they made the decision to head that way. Yeah. I don't think it really usually comes down to nature versus nurture, because it's usually just a matter of choice and what choice you chose at what time.
Also, you go into like, you know, maybe the person who was able to go into the military, get out, he had a strong family that was, you know, worked their ass off, but of course they were in the situation they were in, but pushing them to be better. And then you got the other guy who, you know, maybe dad's not around and, you know, mom's working a couple jobs and he's a single child, like the only child. Yeah, so he doesn't really have that sense of family and he finds it in whatever. Like, it's so deep that, like, I don't like when people just sum it up to nature versus nurture. Yeah. I know it's like it's a conversation to be had and obvious. I just think it's a little bit of both. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can go either way. It could be one or the other or both. Yeah.
And in those situations, and this is a different tangent that I do want to circle back to this because it was relevant to one of the stories I told, but I hate when people get upset. Jason Tatum, a couple of years ago, came out that he was starting this program to start educating people financially in like poorer areas. He was going to set up spots that you could go to learn how to properly handle finances. Yeah. And people get mad at everything. People choose to be mad at everything. And what I was hearing was, you think that's really going to solve, you know, you just think poor people are stupid, huh? You think that's going to solve poverty, huh, Jason? No, it's not going to solve poverty, but you know what would help a lot of people? Being smarter with their money and knowing what to do with it.
And knowing how to use it. Yeah, it's a lot that goes into money and finances that, sure, one, you know, his idea may not be the be all end all, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And I don't think he ever said this is going to cure poverty. It's just like, hey, more people need to be educated on how you can properly use your money. That doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to be a millionaire. That doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to be all right and all the stress is going to go away. Well, that does mean you might have a few extra dollars because you're being smart with it. Yeah. You know?
And you can put it in a savings account that yields interest and, you know, all the other things about finances that can yield you money.
Dude, I just opened a savings account with Dave where it takes, where like if I buy something that's like $5.50, right?
Round up.
It'll take 50 cents and put it in that savings account. Yeah. And when I tell you, I hadn't looked at it for a couple of days and there was like $15 in that savings account. Yeah. You know?
I
Just stuff
think
like that.
one of my bank accounts at least used to do that. And while you never really think about it on the moment, you come back to it later and just like, oh, that's a decent amount.
Yeah. But circling back, my brother got very defensive because the one I told you that the cars and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was always in trouble. At school, at home, in the neighborhood, he was always doing fuck shit, right?
Okay.
He got in trouble at school one day, and my mom went up there, and they were like, he is borderline genius, and he's bored. He's just sitting there, so he just decides to fuck with people. And I was telling my brother, I was like, when you have a mind like that gets bored very easily because, at school, whatever, and then they come home, and I'll admit we were dickheads to him. Not the greatest. He's the one I pulled the little hot wing prank on, where I was like, yeah, no, that's like one of the lightest ones, but it was a blazing wing, and he ate the entire thing, dickhead shit.
You set him the fuck up.
Yeah, what I'm basically saying is it's my fault.
Heard.
But no, when you put him into a situation that his dad was in, and then what my mom was like, while also my mom's not really around, and the only ones around him are his big brothers that fuck with him all the time.
Yeah.
That fuck with him all the time. It's not a good recipe. And my brother got very defensive, the other one, the one that was telling me all this, and he was like, well, I turned out fine. I'm like, yeah, you're not him.
Yeah, I think...
And when I say this, I'm not trying to take agency away. Like, his choices are his choices, but I think it would be stupid to not acknowledge everything around him to where he wasn't really getting the support he needed,
Yeah, I was going to have questions, but you kind of answered them in the story. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely does come down to the choices he did make, but it definitely did not help in the environment. Because I've seen kids myself, at least like kids I knew when I was back in school. It was like, yeah, these kids are smart as shit. Like, I don't see how they wouldn't be, top of the class, top grades. Because we did have like 14 valedictorians, even though you should only have one. But those kids were like, they could have been there if they had really, really, I guess, applied themselves in school rather than, be bored. But, I can't speak too much on that because the school system is what it is. But it's definitely a factor of the environment around them, because a lot of these kids grew up in the hood around me pretty much, because I also grew up in the hood, but like they just didn't make the same choices to better themselves or to be up from where they would be.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating look into the human psyche, and you can call it free will, but it really feels like, to a point, we are hardwired to be a certain way. And I can't explain this in a like, you're listening to Red Light Homies. You're not listening to
PhD in psychology.
Yeah, but genuinely, it feels like we're hardwired to be a certain way, and that blows for a lot of people. And even I've experienced, I don't know. It's a weird conversation because there's a lot of things I do that it's like, well, it feels like I'm hardwired that way, but I still want to snap that. And you know what I mean? But is it also I'm hardwired to overthink and to, reevaluate how I am wired? You know what I mean?
I feel like it just comes down to habit is what you're kind of trying to say here. Because you would be quote unquote hardwired to do something if you had done it for so long, or for example, of the nurture kind of argument, you grew up around it, you think it's normal, and it's just a part of life at this point. It's
Yeah.
just kind of those are kind of decisions that would have to be made, once you realize that, hey, I don't kind of like the way I do this or the way I think when it comes to doing this or the choices I would normally make when, doing something else. But I feel like it comes down to you have to actively make that decision to not do, whatever habit you formed.
Yeah. No, it's like the conversation of free will always fascinates me, especially when I get into talks about like spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
because free will is a massive thing when it comes to religious people. It's the big answer when it comes to why does evil exist in the world, why does suffering exist in the world, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to dive deeper because apparently people are proving, quote unquote, that humans don't really have free will, that we all kind of like our interests and what we dislike and what we gravitate towards, that's not something we really choose freely. That's something that just like we just for some reason our brains just enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of wired to seek out good things or good feelings. So if it provides any sort of that, you kind of just want it.
Yeah. And speaking of, at work I spent a total of like 3 hours listening to Bible stories, which I did not think I would ever do again.
Yeah, that's unlike you.
Yeah. I watched this TikTok where this guy was like, you can't speak on someone being Christ-like if you don't believe that Jesus Christ was Lord or whatever. And I have a problem with that, mostly because your duty is to, share the good word, share the good news. Your duty is to describe this guy. And also I grew up with a rough idea of what that's supposed to look like, and I can compare your actions to what you say you want them to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But taking that back, I was like, you know what? Fair. So I listened to a couple chapters of John, starting where, the they bring in the lady who was cheating on her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and they're basically like, yo, we gotta stone this chick. Apparently it was a trick to show that Jesus was ruthless or something like that.
Yeah.
But Jesus just sat down and started drawing on the ground. And the two guys were like, so are we going to stone her? And Jesus was like, he who's without sin cast the first stone. And they went, fuck. Damn.
Got me. Shit.
I will say, I listened to some of the New Testament. Of course, that's what that's in, and some of the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And when I listen to what Jesus was talking about, how Jesus was moving about the world, I go, oh yeah, this is what Christianity is supposed to be. Like, that's the thought I had in my head. That's what it's supposed to be. When you hear God talk in the Old Testament, you're like, my God. Well,
Yeah.
You're like, this guy, man. Like he was telling in Deuteronomy, he was talking about laws for the Israelites to follow now that they're out of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something along the lines of, you can have a sacrifice, but I'm not going to demand one, but you can do it. But on the first day, you should feast on it. On the second day, you can feast on it. But on the third day, you should burn the rest. And anybody who does feast on it shall be exiled, or something like that. And I was like, said that man committed an abomination. I'm like, just because he had a little lamb on the third day? But he was hungry. What are we talking about?
They said no. He said, I laid out the rules.
I did get faced with the number one Christian thing that pisses me off.
Okay.
It doesn't piss me off, but it's annoying.
Gotcha.
How long has it been since you've read or heard the story of Moses getting the Jews out of Egypt?
How long has it been? More than a few years. It would have to
So
have been at least 5 to 7. So
okay, so I listen to the story of Moses mostly because his brother shares a name with me. Amen. But also, there's one line that atheists love to bring up, and I wanted to hear that line and the context around it. So I listened to the story of Moses. And first of all, what I always thought as a kid, so he goes down to the Pharaoh, right?
mm-hmm.
And he's like, my God said you can't have, these guys are his guys. You're treating them poorly, so he wants them back. And the Pharaoh's like, suck my dick. Tell your God I said suck my dick, all right?
Yeah.
Even if he exists, he doesn't exist, so he can suck my dick. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So Moses threw down his staff and turned it into a serpent and then turned it back. And then he put his hand in his garment, took it out, and it was diseased, did it again, turned back regular, and then took a cup, got some of the river water, and turned it into blood. And the Pharaoh was still like, nah, that's fake. Fake news. Fuck you. Suck my... Still was on that type of timing. And originally I was like, that guy's a moron. That guy's a fucking idiot. Yeah. If you had a guy come up to you and say, hey, my God wants you to do this, and you say no, and then he does all that shit, I'm like, you know what?
You got it. You got it, fam. Yeah.
But the line that keeps getting brought up is God, while telling Moses what was going to happen, said that he would harden the Pharaoh's heart so that the Pharaoh wouldn't let the Israelites go. So God reached into the Pharaoh and made it to where he wasn't going to let him go no matter what. Mm-hmm. And people are like, it kind of fucks with free will, huh? But I just brought this up, and my dad got in the comment of that Facebook post, and he was like, well, we don't know. And God had a plan. Mysterious ways. And I'm like, I wish you could understand how stupid I see that as being.
Most of the argument I've seen for free will does tend to come back to, at least when people are arguing against it, like, y'all say God has a plan for everybody's lives and, everything that's going to happen. And it usually comes back to, well, he knows what's going to happen. Doesn't mean he influenced what's going to happen. It just means he knows what choices we're going to make. Doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have free will. It just means he knows what's going to happen. And when it comes to that argument, I don't have a good argument off the top of my head, at least for the Moses hardening the Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah, I think we had a discussion when we talked about religion a year ago, maybe.
Would have been about a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm on that wave of, if you have a being that is overseeing everything and is all powerful, all knowing, past, present, and future, free will just doesn't exist in the same way. Like, and I know we don't want to have this argument, but I just see it like that. Like, maybe it exists on a human level, but that just adds layers, and that feels kind of stupid. I don't know.
I'd have to like do actual like research to figure out, or at least to base an argument from it. I don't want to disagree right off the bat just because I don't know. Like, I don't think it's something we would really come to know, but it is something that is debated. So we could really look into it. But
genuinely, I think I am closer to believing in a God than I even think I am. I just find that so unsatisfactory. And it's like, do I want to believe in that is kind of a contradiction in of itself? And again, still searching out good explanations and all that, pending me finding a good explanation. Because I have had that before, where I've thought a certain way and someone's been like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah. So I'm not saying it can't be explained, but as for my beliefs right now, it's either believe in something like that where it feels like it's just contradicting itself and proving itself wrong, or just believe that the universe is just a chaotic thing that exists,
I mean, I never find to fault the thought process of it being like, why not both?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, We know
Like
what's
God
going on
just
around us, and we know what we can see through telescopes and all of that. But why couldn't it be both?
Are you saying like God just spun a Beyblade, like let that bitch rip and said, "Oh, do what you want."
Pretty much. I mean, that's might as well be the way you put it. But I mean, there was like the only interference he had in as in the Bible was at the very early on, and then of course when in the New Testament as well. But all of this, like his actual involvement wasn't that much.
Yeah.
So I feel like it could just be that, like they play, let it rip,
Let's fight an epic battle.
But I mean, it very well could just be both. I don't really see why it couldn't be,
I just, whatever. I will say so I listened from that point up until the crucifixion of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And the crucifixion of Jesus is horrible to listen to, obviously. But there is a bit of humor in Pontius Pilate. You recognize Pontius Pilate?
Sounds familiar. I feel like it unlocked a memory for some reason.
So he was the guy that basically oversaw the justice system in Rome. Mm-hmm. And basically what happened is the Jewish leaders were pretty sick of this guy claiming to be the Son of God and getting followers, right? So they wanted him gone. So they drug him to Pontius Pilate and said, "Yo, we want this guy dead." And Pilate was like, "What'd he do?" And they were like, "He claimed to be the Son of God, so we want him dead." Pilate was like, that's not enough. that's not enough.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, we want him dead and we don't have the authority to kill him, so you got to do it." And he was like, "Oh my God." Brought him in and had a talk with Jesus. And apparently it was near the Sabbath. And on the Sabbath, they had a tradition of releasing one prisoner. So Pilate was like, "You can either release Jesus Christ, or I think his name was Barabbas or something like that,
mm-hmm.
who was a legit disgusting criminal." And all the Jewish leaders were like, "That one. That one. Free that one." And Pilate was, "God damn it." And Jesus said, "Watch it." And he said, "My fault."
I was going to try and make that joke, but you beat me to it. I was going to be like, "Whoa, now."
But no, when I really got a laugh was next to Jesus' cross, Pontius Pilate put up a sign that said "King of the Jews." And because that's what Jesus was known by his followers.
Mm-hmm.
Son of God, King of the Jews, yada, yada, yada. And apparently some Jewish people saw that and went up to Pilate and said, "No, he claimed to be King of the Jews. He wasn't actually King of the Jews, so change it." And translating to modern English, Pilate was just like, "I wrote what I wrote. Fuck off."
Yeah.
He was so annoyed with the Jewish. He was like, "Oh my, you had me kill this guy who was doing nothing. And now you want to bitch about how I write on a fucking sign? Eat a dick."
Yeah, let this man have at least something, Y'all can't be jealous bastards all the time.
Yeah.
I always see, like, not, of course, Jesus on the cross coming up a lot, but, like, the lance of Longinus, or spear of Longinus, however the fuck, the spear that was used to kill him, the one they stuck his rib with, that always comes up, like, everywhere.
Yeah. Really?
Oh, yeah. I see that, like, anime all the time. Too many times.
See, I see the Holy Grail all the time.
That too, yeah.
His cup at the Last Supper.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there is a betting website. I think it's the betting website where they use an AI video of Peter, Saint Peter, one of the disciples, the one who denied Jesus 3 times. And they're like, yeah, we always got to bet on the underdog, right, Peter? And it was legitimately Jesus in the back getting crucified. And Peter turns around and goes, no spoilers. That seems weird, right? Someone typed that into an AI video maker and said, yeah, we're putting this in a gambling commercial. You know?
What gambling site? I want to know this.
I think it's Bet360. Could be wrong.
Never heard of them, but that's hilarious and horrible.
They use AI videos for their gambling, and sports gambling is a massive topic right now because there was just a big bust with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups in the NBA, and NFL players are constantly getting clocked for gambling. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I see something from 2024 that was called He Gets Us, but I don't know what that is, so I guess I haven't found it.
Let me see if I can find it.
I found a Twitter thread. Oh, here it is.
Did you just watch it?
It turned on the sound when I did that, but it's Kalshi, or at least that's what
Kashi or whatever?
Yeah. History was made by the underdogs, and it says, will Jesus rise again? Odds. 1%, 2%. And then we move on to, are the British coming? And then, will Amelia find her destination? Amelia Earhart?
Yo,
will the Trojans accept their gift? What is this shit?
Will the planes actually hit the tower?
Will David topple Goliath?
Will Moses part the Red Sea?
Jesus. Will Sparta win the war?
Will they complete the Tower of Babel? I mean, we could go on and on with this shit, bro. Will Eve eat the apple?
Dude, what?
And let's run a parlay. If Eve eats the apple, but will Adam eat the apple? I got a parlay on it.
I want to see the comments so bad, but I have to sign in, and I be damned if I know any of that sign-in information, so...
But I feel like that's ridiculous. I don't hear Christians talking about the AI commercial of Peter and Jesus in a gambling website. I feel like there should be more. With as much outrage as they give, like The Passion of Christ or that new Nicolas Cage horror movie that came out, I mean, I feel like that's...
They gave Passion of Christ so much shit.
I don't get that. I've never seen The Passion of Christ, but I did ask my dad and grandfather, would they consider that blasphemous? And both of them said no.
I believe I had this debate with my mom, and we both came up with no as well.
Because isn't it just... I don't know how accurate the story, like how well it sticks to the actual story of the crucifixion of Jesus, but, you know?
Yeah, Okay, so here's at least something from The Independent. The Passion, an earnest retelling of the final days in the life of Jesus, was intact in some quarters for its alleged anti-Semitism, and lurid violence.
Well, I mean, wasn't it Mel Gibson who did it?
I believe so. And this person, Roger Ebert, named it the most violent film I've ever seen and disputed its historical accuracy.
Well, if it's disputed, then whatever. But again, maybe I'd have to watch it. But I do know Mel Gibson does not like Jews. So, like, there's that.
I mean, the main points are violence and anti-Semitism, so...
Well, that's the thing.
And yes, Mel Gibson.
A lot of anti-Semitism is born from the story of the crucifixion of Jesus because Jewish leaders were the ones that brought Jesus to Pontius Pilate and demanded that he be crucified, right? The issue is the ones that did that were Jewish leaders, not Jews. Jewish leaders were getting pissed off with this guy. And yes, some Jews did agree, but there were also Jews who were followers of him, who believed in him, who were very cross that he was put on a cross, right?
Yeah.
So it's another fucking thing of people being hateful fucking lunatics that don't actually read the entire thing. They just hear that Jews killed Jesus.
It also comes into the fact that this movie was released in 2004 and it was a biblical movie, so people didn't expect it to be so I guess real in the sense of, actually depicting violence as it would have been, I guess, or at least giving an idea of how violent it would have been around the time, because it was. So
yeah, my dad told me one time, because I was watching this mini series on the Bible where they were taking different Bible stories. They took the story of Samson. They did Jesus being tempted in the desert along with his crucifixion. They did Moses. They did a lot of these, right?
Yeah.
And it was extremely violent and extremely bloody and yada, yada, yada. And my dad was like, yeah, no, if they made the Bible into a TV series, it would be Game of Thrones level violent. Even more so. Not so much incest,
which is wild,
a little
because
bit, but not
The Chosen is out now, and I don't think it's that violent.
The Chosen?
Yeah, it's an Apple TV show that's based off of the Bible. And Jesus.
They just water it down a little bit.
I presume I want to watch it just to see what it's like, but as far as any clips I've seen so far, it doesn't read any violence or much violence at all. But that just may be from what I've seen. I do have to still have to watch, everything, the whole episode, and catch up. But
did you watch the movie Noah with Russell Crowe?
I have to look it up.
My dad watched that with us. The entire family watched it. And there is so much they switch up in that movie where legitimately God doesn't tell Noah. He just has a dream of a massive flood and is like, we need to build a boat. We need to build a big boat. And he does. And then there's like some guy who is obsessed with the family and ends up on the ship. And at that moment, my dad was like, I don't remember that being in the story. It was just Noah and his family. I don't remember that, I mean, visually, it's pretty sick. But in terms of accuracy to how the story of Noah is told,
it took a creative direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not watch this. I wasn't aware that this movie existed.
It's fine. I remember it being fine.
But
Russell...
5.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah. Russell Crowe is into doing religious movies. He just did the Pope's Exorcist, which I actually heard was pretty good. My lady liked it. Yeah, that's where a lot of guys will edit Jesus, and they'll take a scene from him saying, "Are you scared to hear his name? Are you scared? Why do you fear the name Jesus Christ?" And then it'll turn into like an edit of Jesus. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty sick.
Dude's got a lot of movies.
Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Sensational actor.
The Pope's Exorcist isn't even the newest one. You've got Land of Bad, Sleeping Dogs, The Exorcism, and Nuremberg.
Yeah, I still got to see Gladiator. I've never seen Gladiator.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Which is weird because I
go on kicks of Rome, like every man probably does, every white man at least. Get obsessed with ancient Rome for a little bit. We got so close, by the way, to the greatest clash of civilizations in the history of the world, up until that point at least, because Rome controlled Europe and the Mongols controlled Asia, and Genghis Khan's army was marching to try to fuck with the Romans in Europe, and then Genghis Khan died, so they retreated.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that was they don't talk about, like, you'll hear that, what is it? Look up the DNA numbers for Genghis Khan. What percentage of the population has Genghis Khan DNA?
We talked about this before. I believe it was somewhere around a quarter to half of a certain area, I believe.
Yeah.
Population, can I freaking spell? As Genghis Khan's DNA. There we are. About 5% of the world's male population has his DNA, and then about 8% of those are in around Asia.
Yeah.
Let's see. Or 8% of that 0.5%. And that's just male lineage, it seems.
Buddy was putting his dick in everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I doubt all those were consensual. But everybody around that time talks about Rome and how great Rome is. They never talk about the Mongolian Empire. I learned the name Genghis Khan, but I never learned how strong the Mongolian Empire actually was. It was the entirety of Asia at one point. I was going to
say, they took over a lot of Asia. I was aware of, I believe we were taught in school at least, that, of his campaigns. But, it was, of course, very glossed over, but it wasn't, we were aware of it.
I was aware of the name Genghis Khan and being like, oh, he had a strong army and was a great leader. That's basically it. I did not know the extent of what that guy was doing.
Yeah, because went as far as going into how much of Asia he actually took over and how far he actually got. So yeah,
my school is mostly focused on Japanese history, samurais, and all that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, have you seen that Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai?
No, I don't. I don't know if I wanted to watch it. It's just it didn't feel like something I would watch.
It's pretty good. I will say it's pretty. It gets classified as a white savior movie, and I don't think so. I wouldn't classify it as that. It's definitely not like Avatar,
Yeah.
But, because he doesn't change the thinking of the people he's with. They change his thinking. I'm trying to describe why I don't consider it a white savior movie without spoiling the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you should watch it. It is really good. It's about this soldier who fought in, I think, the War of 1812, and just a respected American soldier, and he gets sent over because Japan is trying to modernize its army, get away from the samurais.
Yeah.
So they're trying to train their guys in modern tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is I blame him for can I really not think of it? Pearl Harbor. I blame him for Pearl Harbor.
Why do I feel like there was a very similar movie with Keanu Reeves as the main actor?
Like a Japanese culture kind of thing?
Yeah, with samurai. But I may just have been confused when I'd seen that however long ago.
In Cyberpunk, he says samurai a lot.
I've played probably a quarter of Cyberpunk. Yeah, I would like to look for this, but I doubt I'm going to find anything that I can relate or find it. Keanu Reeves Samurai movie. Oh, there it is. 47 Ronin.
I've heard of that.
2013.
By the way, they canceled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. They canceled it.
They did?
Yeah. Why? Because apparently they're about to reboot live action TMNT again. And I get it. You can't make a movie where all of them are dead except one and then be like, oh, well, next year we have a movie with all of them. You can't really do that.
I mean, if you're following stories, then yeah, you can, because that is a story in and of itself with The Last Ronin. Yeah. So if you were to just pick a different story with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then yeah, you could totally do that.
I guess, yeah, because it feels like you think your audience is dumb or are just like, oh, is this universe connected? And you just say no. And I guess some people might still be like, who don't keep up with the news, will still be like, wait, I thought all the turtles were dead. Now they're bringing them back. What? Like, I remember when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, and a couple of my family members were like, who's this? What? He's a different actor. It's like, yeah, Christian Bale's not doing it no more. And they're like, what? Huh?
And didn't they also make those movies like completely separate?
Which one?
Like between Christian Bale and Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two completely separate universes. They did apparently want to do a Justice League type of thing with Christian Bale and the Superman Returns Superman, but it just they never really pulled the trigger on it.
I'd be interested to see how it turned out, if anything like the other ones, or like Suicide Squad or something like that.
There was also an idea to do the Fantastic Four that we watched, the original one, and Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
I don't think I've ever known those universes to collide besides in like specialty comics.
Well, they were both basically the same company that bought the rights to Spider-Man, the X-Men, Fantastic
Fox.
Four. Yeah, Fox and Sony and all them.
Yeah.
So there was an idea to do that, and it would have been cool. It would have been really cool. I don't know how well it would have worked. I would have watched it, definitely. It probably would have sucked, because those Fantastic Four movies aren't that great.
No. No, especially not on a rewatch.
But, seeing Bully Maguire go up against Johnny Storm would have been great, Who
would win?
Toby, obviously. It's Spider-Man every time.
Okay.
Spider-Man versus Human Torch. Spider-Man wins every time.
I mean, you would think he can just melt the webs and whatnot, but he's also got superhuman strength and resistance. So yeah, you could just.
It's like the whole conversation with Batman. It's like, well, Batman would just avoid the webs. It's like, yeah, Spider-Man is still a super soldier, basically. Like, he doesn't have the serum, but he has enhanced reflexes and strength and speed and agility and all that shit,
Yeah. Though I would say Batman would probably win in a lot of the fights because he has contingencies for everybody, at least in the Justice League. So I wouldn't imagine he would do the same thing.
I was not taking Taskmaster seriously in that Spider-Man game when I've been replaying it. Did you get to the point where you fight Taskmaster?
Yeah.
I was not taking him seriously, and the amount of times he kicked my ass because I was playing on Spectacular, and I was like, oh, 2 hits and he kills me? That's not good. It's harder than the Doc Ock fight. Why? Why is it harder? I guess.
Taskmaster, I think in canon is also just like really overpowered.
There's a great skit that someone did where it was Taskmaster. What?
Yeah.
You get it. And Cap and Black Widow were trying to fight him, but, copy every fighting style or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Fantastic and Human Torch show up. And he's like, I can copy everything I see. Fantastic's like, well, unless you're made out of rubber, friend, I don't think you can do that. And he just snaps his wrist and starts swinging it. And he's like, yeah, come at me. And he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, come on. And the funniest, Captain America's like, I don't get it. We just caught you jaywalking. He's like, and I do it again. Again, you're no match for the master of combat. But then Human Torch just looks at him and he's like, there's nothing you can do that I can't do. and the Human Torch lights itself on fire, and you see Taskmasters go and start pouring gasoline on himself.
That's just what to say. It's like, okay, you got it, bet. Start dumping all that shit. Yeah, you got a light.
At that point, you just got to appreciate the commitment, you know?
Oh, yeah, putting yourself to work.
And he was swinging his busted wrist, and he was like, no, stop doing that. And he was just like, pussy! I just love that. Like, I don't get it. We just call you jaywalking, and I do it again.
That's hilarious.
Oh, my God.
Oh, shit. But on that note, has been an hour.
It has been over an hour. Z, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good.
Well, you can tell us how y'all are feeling about this podcast. You just go on any platform and you rate it. But please, if you will, rate it 5 stars. It truly helps out a lot. Z, what's a 5-star rating that these people can leave?
These guys truly do talk about anything and everything, but 47 Ronin exist. 5 stars.
5 stars. Now, you may do that and you say, how else can I help? Or maybe you're like, I don't really want to do that. Well, you can share this podcast. Click the crooked arrow. Share to whatever platform you have, whatever platform you feel comfortable sharing it on. Or if someone comes up to you and they say, hey, I'm looking to fill up my podcast library, feel like switching it up, getting some new stuff in there. Z, what do they say?
Well, you can head on over to the boys, Jackie and Z over at Red Light Homies, where they talk about anything, and it may just be something right up your alley.
Absolutely. This was the homies, Jackie and Z.
That's me.
We'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace out.
Rolling up a little bit of pie. Rolling with some shit that's fine. Fine shit hard on a 9. I'm rubbing on the tabs on the spine. Rolling through in the 8 Wake up, be on the grind. Serving at 6:15. Serving in the 615.